Gun Meme Review. What is up, you sexy YouTube mother lovers, and welcome back to another episode of Gun Meme Review. This one is incredibly action-packed. Smith & Wesson continues to copy KelTec's homework, the Ballad of Garantham and 22 Man, and last but certainly not least, apparently Evan Hafer wants your butthole. All this and more on this episode of GMR. Let's hop right in. So a few days ago, Smith & Wesson dropped their newest product. It is a 9mm folding PCC. That's right, the gun just straight up breaks in half. Does this sound familiar? It should, because like 10 years ago, KelTec developed a folding 9mm PCC that straight up breaks in half. I will say, just on the surface, I do actually like Smith & Wesson's design better because it, folds in half in a sideways kind of way instead of over the top, meaning you can actually, use optics and still fold the gun. I have a KelTec Sub 2000. Those sights aren't good. You really want to use a fucking optic. Smith & Wesson Corporate. The dude in the machine shop who suggested building KelTec copies. So in case you guys didn't know, this has actually happened once before. You see, Smith & Wesson not too long ago released their DP12, I believe it was. This is a dual tube fed, bullpupped 12 gauge shotgun. Does this sound familiar? Well, it should. Because over a decade earlier, KelTec released a dual tube fed, pump action, bullpup shotgun. That one I was willing to let go. This folding carbine, Smith & Wesson, you guys know what you're doing. You gotta know, right? If I had a nickel for every time Smith & Wesson ripped off a KelTec design, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. This got so bad that even KelTec official went to Twitter and started throwing a little bit of shade. There seems to be a trend starting at Smith & Wesson Inc. Y'all run out of your own ideas? Alright, just to be fair, I don't actually have a dog in this fight because quite frankly, I don't fucking care. But whoever's running KelTec's social media, give that man a raise. So is it an obvious copy? No, maybe. The real question that actually matters to the consumer is, which one of these is better? Well, let's see this direct comparison chart. KelTec takes clock mags. Smith & Wesson doesn't take clock mags. Developed by coked out geniuses. Probably made by some virgin nerd. Probably the gun they were singing about in Keysby Nights. The gun that your mom wants. I believe the meme maker may have had some bias here. I honestly have no fucking clue which is better. If you've ever owned or wanted to own a KelTec gun, go ahead and subscribe. Because around these parts, even though we give KelTec a lot of shit, we love those guys. Their weapons possess a kind of charm that could only come from coked out engineers. In Florida, of course. I've had some hands-on time with the KelTec Sub 2000, and it is one of the guns of all time. In fact, folding it from the trigger guard feels like you're going to break it off because, as we've said, KelTecs are typically made of recycled Florida beach plastic. So Smith & Wesson, if you want to hook one of those up, I probably won't do a video on it because everybody else has, but I'm curious and I will never say no to more guns. Speaking of which, it happened again. Every time there's a big gun launch like this, the same thing happens, and I guarantee you the next time another big gun launches and there's a big media stank over it, this will happen again. So let's just go ahead and dive right into that. When all the gun tubers drop a review of the same product at the same time. Shill alert, shill alert. Look at these fucking sellouts. They're all getting paid by Smith & Wesson. All right, so let me explain what's actually going on. And like I said, no dog in this fight. Haven't done it. I actually don't really care that much about new guns, so I don't get guns sent to me for reviews because I fucking hate reviews. I love taking apart old guns or cool guns from history or militaria or whatever. And a lot of new guns don't really interest me all that much. So sorry, yeah, I'm not going to be reviewing the new iteration of the Springfield Hellcat or whatever the fuck. But what's actually happening here is what's called an embargo. So let's say you're Smith & Wesson releasing a new product. Obviously, as a marketing guy, you want people to talk about that product. One of the easiest ways to do that is to get it into the hands of, print media and internet influencers and whatever, so they can give their opinion on said product. But your release date isn't until, I don't know, let's say March 1st. So what happens is you either, have those influencers shake on it or sign something, or depending on the relationship, saying that they won't release their video until after you announce at, let's say, noon on March 1st. Now, everybody wants to be the first to drop that video because that's the one that usually gets the views. Like the biggest audience that drops the first, they're typically the winner. So as soon as that deadline comes, everybody who had a gun sent to them that they were keeping quiet about because, obviously they agreed to the embargo to not talk about it, They all rush to release it at once, which is why you get a flood on your YouTube feed of all these videos coming out at once about the same gun. That's not to say that they're not being paid. Some of these guys are probably getting paid. That doesn't mean you're buying a good review. It means that you are buying the time on that channel to talk about said guns. A lot of the bigger guys do not do this shit for free. Are some of these gun reviewers bought and paid for? Well, let's be honest, probably. But I just wanted to clear up that, being paid for something is not necessarily the same as being paid for a good review. Believe it or not, there are a couple of gun tubers that still have an ounce of integrity. There's a couple. Company sends pre-release gun to reviewer. Company forbids reviewer from releasing until certain date. All reviews drop when the media embargo ends. Everyone thinks the reviewers are shills due to flood of simultaneous reviews. And round we go every fucking time. So is your favorite gun reviewer a shill? I mean, it's quite possible. But is this the reason? Absolutely not. This is just a little bit of a, peek behind the curtain in the business of this stuff. I've had to sign stuff exactly like this, that I won't talk about things until a certain date when it's available to the public. I just wasn't going to talk about it anyway because, like I said at the beginning, I don't fucking care. What I am looking forward to is what they're potentially going to do with this. I mean, it kind of looks like an MG34. What's the harm in making one? Come on. Give me the MG34 one. And this is why Smith & Wesson won't talk to me. So now that I think we've beaten that topic to death, something else noteworthy happened. That's right, Garanthem finally did a video with 22 Man. And it was exactly what I expected. I won't spoil it, but it was a fantastic video. Between the music, the editing, and 22 Man himself, I got all the entertainment I could ask for. What 22 Man hitting a Coke can at 710 yards was supposed to look like. What it actually was like. Yeah, so for those who don't know the background, Garanthem did a video on 22 lethality at range. This guy leaves a long-winded comment talking about him and his buddies used to shoot Coke cans at 710 yards with 22s off a tractor all day long. Mike then calls him on it and says he'll fly him out to go try to replicate the shot. The mad lad that is 22 Man takes him up on it, leading to some pretty good memes. When she says you're the only guy she's talking to, I want to believe. And to any girl I may be talking to, you're the only one. Settle down, that was a joke. I don't talk to women. That was also a joke. Several of you guys need to probably talk to more women. Trust me, just do it. Just don't be creepy about it. And now, because it fits perfectly, a Marty Robbins meme. Gunfighter ballads and trail songs, 22 LR Man, small iron, death of a soda can, 710 yard shot, Team 22 dream, 22 LR death round, internet stranger, Garanthem gets cocked. I never read these all the way to the end. I just kind of skim through it and see if it's a good meme. Some of these sneak up on me. And now a comment that was actually sent to me by Mike himself. The actual ballad of 22 Man. Read to the cadence of The Night Before Christmas, because that's funny to me. Fellows do gather and bend me an ear. Hearken this legend that happened quite near. In the Idaho hills, as winter expired, 'twas first told to Michael, a warrior retired. From the lips of a hero, this legend was told, and never heard Michael a claim quite so bold. Of nerve and of skill, a small metal can, that attracted the wrath of this sharp-sighted man. As he gazed from his porch just outside his front door, he noted the yardage, 35.5 score. Then to arms he did go, as all good heroes do. His hands they were steady, his aim it was true. Though his weapon was small, some say almost a toy, he chuckled, perhaps, in the hands of a boy. Not gonna read too far into that fucking line. He pointed, calling out to his quivering foe, "You've awakened my wrath, and down you shall go." Then swiftly and smartly he pointed his gun, on account of the range, somewhere close to the sun. He fired his shot, it rang out like a bell, and he knew that he'd punched his foe's ticket to hell. To the maidens he turned with a smile and a wink, then 4 seconds later, a small metal tink. And so ends the tale of that dastardly can, and so goes the legend of 22 Man. Now be sure to leave out milk and cookies for 22 Man, and a carton of cigarettes. As we're moving into the fun part of this video, I need to tell you again that the main sponsor of the channel is now SDI, or the Sonoran Desert Institute. So if you're looking to get your start in gunsmithing, go ahead and check them out using the links in the description and in the pinned comment. Also check out the merch links. We've got some new stuff up there. Some cool AK Texas flag stuff. You guys will like it. Anyhow, on to the meat and taters. Wow, that sounds awful with what I'm about to say next. Spoilers. So, Black Rifle Coffee. The comment section is already a shit show. So if you've been hiding under a rock, there's been a slew of allegations from a civil suit, I believe, at Mr. Evan Hafer, one of the owners of Black Rifle. It was sent to me like a week ago, and I will honestly say it is one of the funniest goddamn things I've ever read in my entire life. I read this first thing in the morning, somebody texted it to me, and I read through the entire thing, and I was cackling to myself. I'm not even fucking kidding. Some of the statements are so absurd, and I know 95% of it had to have happened. So the background. A disgruntled former employee from the Salt Lake office of Black Rifle basically filed some civil documents alleging inappropriate workplace behavior, some of which leading to his termination. One of them, and the one that has been memed to oblivion, was a particular line. Mr. Roper and Mr. Hafer were working alone in a conference room when Mr. Hafer turned to Mr. Roper and said, quote, "Why don't we close that door and butt-fuck the shit out of each other?" Mr. Roper rejected the sexual proposition, and the meeting continued in awkward tension. I quit. I can't make this up. Reality's a better comedian than I'll ever be. If you know Evan, you know that this is totally something he would just fucking say to fuck with you. But just like that FBI meme from that other gun meme review, some of this shit does not look good on paper. When you're in a business meeting with Evan Hafer of BRCC and he strips naked and suggests you butt fuck the shit out of each other. You can fucking hear this meme. Evan Hafer, when it's 5 minutes into a staff meeting and nobody is butt fucking the shit out of each other. This video is so getting hit for intense profanity. You guys better appreciate this. You better subscribe. Like this video or Evan Hafer will butt fuck the shit out of you. Why don't we close that door and butt fuck the shit out of each other? Who the fuck starts a conversation like that? I just shut down. I get it, not my best impression. One of the other things I thought was fucking hilarious that was in this suit multiple times was the constant use around the office of the term Mountain Jew to describe Mormons. I will admit I have used that term before because I find it hilarious, and so do a lot of my Mormon friends. When you work at BRCC and Evan Hafer calls you into his office. Hey man, neat dick. I wasn't even going to talk about this, but it was honestly so funny and there have been so many memes that I just had to fucking cover it, right? Especially since I got brought into it directly with some of the memes, which was pretty fucking funny. When Black Rifle Coffee Company employees come into Evan Hafer's office. Something oddly sexual about that. Now, you read through some of the absurd shit that gets said in the office that was apparently very offensive, and it makes a lot of sense when you actually read in the filing itself. Mr. Roper was not a veteran. And I say that as a non-veteran myself. But I grew up in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and I've been around veterans pretty much my entire life. Most of the people I interact with on the day-to-day are veterans. Let me tell you, veterans' sense of humor is fucking different. Literally every vet watching this will attest to that. If you wanted to take it horribly out of context, Evan and Matt, have probably said worse shit to me than this, and I just don't bat a fucking eye to it because that's how they talk. So I don't know who needs to hear this, but Evan Hafer, the married with kids owner of Black Rifle Coffee, does not want your butthole. And I know there's several of you who are probably very disappointed by that fact. It's also worth pointing out that Evan Hafer and Mr. Roper are actually now friends. The case was dismissed in 2019, and in Mr. Roper's own words, quote, "Things went completely sideways at one point, and then things circled back around. We're friends." He said there was a lot of misunderstanding. Once lawyers got involved on both sides, it became very difficult to stop the escalated proceedings. Evan and I, we kind of joked about how we were along for the ride, and it almost felt like we kind of lost control a bit of how this disagreement was being handled. Evan said, quote, "He's a good guy and found success outside our company, and good for him. I'm happy for him. Even though we were legally at odds, we were still able to put our friendship back together." So while it sucks that both reputations had to be dragged through the mud for a while because of attorneys and all that shit, there is one silver lining. That we got to read that fucking amazing court document. Please, for the love of God, if you haven't read it, it's fantastic. Take it with a grain of salt. It was curated by attorneys to sound as bad as it possibly could. But be that as it may, it plays out in my head as a better comedy than most of what Hollywood pumps out these days. And no, I did not consult Evan before making this video, and I'm very curious to see how he reacts. I'm sure he still has a lot of agency connections, so if the answer is poorly, then it's been nice knowing you guys. Anyhow, let's move on to some other memes now. Dimples that make men go crazy. Agreed on all fronts. However, there's one thing that really bothers me about this meme. It's a fucking lightning cut on that AK. That is a milled AK. That is not a stamped AK. Stamped AKs are the ones with dimples. That one's milled. It's a lightning cut. God damn it. Delance, put up on the screen, please, what a real dimple looks like on a stamped receiver. This is a lightning cut. This is a dimple. Lightning cut. Dimple. Bonk. Go to horny jail. Dimple. You're dry firing, but suddenly you can no longer see anything and your ears are ringing. You can no longer see anything. What the fuck are you shooting? In the case of this meme, probably not a lot from prison. MAGA warriors. I eat liberals. Librals. Yeah, liberals and shit bullets. Yo, this motherfucker eats shit bullets. This isn't the most cringe I've seen come out of someone with a Punisher skull bumper sticker, so, you know, there's that. Also, this is why punctuation is important. When I post my photos, I blur my face for persec. Have you tried not posting anything at all? Yeah, bro, but if I don't post anything, nobody knows how hard I operate. At Milsim West. That is kind of a weird trend, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I get the OG operator photos and everything, and then some people started doing it, like, ironically as a meme, right? And then you get overweight airsofters do it. And they start doing it for the meme too. And then they start doing it unironically. And then it just follows that trajectory until 3 years later, literally everyone who does it is cringe as fuck. Because the cool guys see the fat kids doing it, and then they stop doing it because it's not cool anymore. Death before dishonor, you know. And now, Harry Potter. Ain't no secrets in this chamber. Master has given Dobby a Glock. Dobby is free. Speaking of which, did you guys enjoy Hogwarts Legacy? I know I really didn't that much, but I figured it was worth a shot because it made blue hairs angry, and you'd be surprised how far out of my way I'd go to watch them cope and seethe. But on that lovely note, you lovely, lovely people, I'm gonna go ahead and call it for this episode of Gun Meme Review. Next up on the docket, we've got a really cool range video and maybe an AK-50 update. Which is why if you haven't already, you should go ahead and fucking subscribe! Hit the notification bell, goddamn! Kidding, I love you all. I really do, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you guys so much for staying to the end. And as always, I'll see you sexy YouTube mother lovers in the next video. Thanks.
Fuel is my obsession to make the perfect weapon, like Rasputin's rise to the top. But I can't let you can stop.